When you picture modern naval power, you might think of aircraft carriers, sure. But increasingly, it's about what's under the waves.
Absolutely. China's submarine force, for instance, it's pretty formidable.
Right, something like 60 vessels as of, August 2024? A mix of diesel, electric, and nuclear.
And the projections are striking, potentially nearly doubling by 2035. That's a huge strategic commitment.
Because they're essentially untrackable by satellite, right? A key asset.
Exactly. Stealth is the name of the game underwater.
We've even seen recent activity, 6 nuclear subs spotted at their first submarine base in the Yellow Sea.
A very strategic spot. Quick access to the Sea of Japan, East China Sea, important waters.
Yeah, reports mentioned 2 Type 091s, 2 Type 093As, and interestingly, 1 unidentified type shows real modernization.
It really does. The potential rate, maybe 1 or 2 new nuclear subs a year, that signals a major focus on maritime power.
But this picture of advanced stealthy power, it isn't the whole story, is it? There are inherent dangers.
Definitely. Operating submarines is incredibly challenging, technologically complex, and, well, risky.
Which brings us to our deep dives today. Despite all this growth, there's a history, and a significant accident really stands out. The Ming-class 361.
Ah, yes, the 361 incident in 2003. Even though it's over 2 decades ago, it's still a profound event for the plan, the People's Liberation Army Navy.
A stark reminder of the precariousness of underwater warfare, even in peacetime. So let's get into that.
It's a crucial case study. It tells us a lot about technological risk, military operations, maybe even transparency.
Okay, so how did it all unfold? It started, I believe, on April 25th, 2003.
Right. A Chinese fishing boat. They spotted something odd off the northeast coast.
Just a periscope. Floating.
Exactly. Just sticking out of the water, not moving. They reported it, obviously.
And the plan responded.
They did. Sent out 2 ships. Initially, there was suspicion, could it be foreign, maybe Japanese or South Korean.
Understandable reaction, given the sensitivities.
Very sensitive, yeah. Submarine operations are always shrouded in secrecy.
But the reality turned out to be much closer to home and far more tragic.
Tragically so. On April 26th, when they reached the sub, they found it was their own Ming-class 361.
And the discovery inside.
Devastating. All 70 crew members on board had perished.
70. That's a staggering number for a peacetime incident. Our sources call it the biggest peacetime military tragedy in communist China's history.
It's hard to overstate the impact. 70 lives lost on a single vessel.
Initially, China didn't say much, right? There was a period of silence.
Yes. Typical in such situations, perhaps.
Yeah.
It wasn't until early May that then-President Jiang Zemin acknowledged it publicly.
And the official reason given was?
Mechanical failure. Quite general.
Okay, let's place this. The accident happened during military drills in the Yellow Sea, possibly the Bohai Sea area.
That's the location, yes. The sub had been practicing silent runs just days before, April 16th, near Chengsheng Island.
And it was returning to base in Weihai.
Correct, Weihai in Shandong province.
But it took 10 days to find them. Why so long?
Yeah. Radio silence. It was part of the exercise protocols. So the lack of contact didn't immediately raise red flags.
Wow. Operational security inadvertently delaying the discovery of a disaster.
It's a difficult balance, isn't it? Realistic training requires strict procedures, but it can have unintended consequences in an emergency.
So the big question, what actually went wrong? The official details are scarce, but theories emerged.
2 main theories gained traction. The first one involves overcrowding.
Overcrowding? How so?
Well, a Ming-class typically has a crew of about 57, but there were 70 people on board the 361.
It's quite a few extra. Any idea why?
Speculation points to maybe observers, perhaps senior officers. There was talk that Commodore Cheng Fuming was aboard.
And potentially they were observing trials, maybe an experimental system.
Possibly. Some conjecture mentioned trials of an AIP system, air-independent propulsion. That could explain needing extra technical personnel or observers.
Makes sense. Cramped space made it even worse.
Definitely. Adding 13 people to an already confined submarine environment could certainly exacerbate any problem.
Okay, what's the second theory? This one seems more widely accepted.
Yes. This one focuses on a toxic gas leak, most likely a carbon monoxide from the diesel engines.
Right, these are diesel-electric subs. They need to run their engines to charge batteries.
Exactly. And they do that either surfaced or using a snorkel, a big air intake pipe, to run the engines while submerged near the surface, staying hidden.
So the theory is something went wrong with the snorkel.
Precisely. The hypothesis is that the main air intake valve, the snorkel head valve, might have closed unexpectedly. Maybe a water washed over it or a malfunction.
Okay. But the engines kept running.
That's the crucial and deadly part of the theory. If the valve closed but the diesel engines didn't automatically shut down, they would continue to suck air.
But pulling air from where?
From inside the submarine itself, they'd basically consume the breathable air within the hull extremely quickly.
Leading to oxygen depletion and a buildup of
Carbon monoxide primarily. Lethal. Reports suggested dizziness and breathing problems could start within a minute, followed by unconsciousness.
That's terrifyingly fast.
It is. And this theory gained some traction, reportedly supported by the Hong Kong-based Wenwei Po publication at the time.
They elaborated on how the engine might fail to cut out.
Yes, suggesting the system designed to shut down the engine if the snorkel flooded or blocked might have failed, leading to that rapid air depletion inside the boat.
Were there other ideas? Collision? Explosion?
Those were mentioned initially, as you'd expect, but they seem less likely based on what little information is available. The toxic gas scenario fits the known facts best for many observers.
A truly chilling sequence of events, if that's what happened.
Absolutely.
And the aftermath. China never released specific details about recovering the sub or the crew, did they?
No, those details remain undisclosed, but there were significant consequences at the top.
Right. Heads rolled in the plan leadership.
Indeed. The PLA Navy's commander, Shi Yunsheng, and the political commissar, Yang Huiqing, were both dismissed from service.
That's major. Shows how seriously this was taken internally.
Definitely. Dismissing the top two naval leaders sends a very strong signal about accountability, or at least the perception of needing it after such a disaster.
Okay, let's connect this back for our listeners, especially those preparing for UPSC exams. Why is revisiting this 20-year-old accident important now?
Well, it touches on so many relevant themes. Naval power, obviously, China's rise, but also technological risk, military transparency.
And the strategic implications, right? Understanding China's military development means looking at successes and failures.
Exactly. It provides crucial context. How does a major power handle setbacks? What lessons are learned? These aren't just historical points. They inform current analysis.
So for UPSC aspirants, this discussion helps understand the complexities behind the headlines about naval expansion. It's relevant for mains, prelims.
Absolutely. It's a real-world example of the interplay between technology, human factors, safety protocols, and leadership in a major military force. It adds depth to understanding regional security.
So just to recap,
Yeah.
we've looked at China's growing submarine force, this powerful, silent presence. But we focused on the Ming-class 361 tragedy in 2003, the discovery, the secrecy, and the main theories. Overcrowding, or more likely, that fatal toxic gas leak.
A stark reminder of the risks inherent in submarine operations, and an event with clear consequences for plan leadership.
It really shows how one incident can highlight so many aspects: technology, safety, command responsibility.
It's much more than a footnote. It's a lens to view the evolution of naval strategy, the absolute necessity of safety, and how militaries learn, or perhaps sometimes fail to learn, from tragedy.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. Considering this history, how might an accident like the Ming-class 361 influence the plan today?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, how does it affect their current submarine design, their crew training, their operational safety procedures, especially now as they continue to expand that fleet so rapidly?
Does it translate into more robust safety features? Different training doctrines? More cautious operations? Or is the push for expansion the overriding factor?
And what does that mean for maritime security in the region? Lots to think about there.
Crucial questions as China's underwater presence grows.
Definitely. If you found this deep dive useful, particularly for understanding these strategic issues, maybe for your UPSC prep, do give us a like, subscribe for more discussions like this.
And please leave your comments or any further questions you might have. We do read them.
And just to mention, our main source for digging into this topic was the Eurasian Times.
A valuable resource for these kinds of analyses.
Indeed. So, until our next deep dive, keep exploring, stay curious, and stay informed.